Thank you so much for joining me, Selena. You've had an amazing journey of being diagnosed with two rare blood disorders. We have kind of similar stories. I was diagnosed with aplastic anemia and PNH as well. So we'll talk about that. And then also your transplant journey and how you became a mom for the first time, which is really
Yes.
congratulations.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we'll start off first talking about the beginning of how you were diagnosed with aplastic anemia and PNH. How was that journey?
Yeah, so my journey was honestly pretty difficult. I didn't get diagnosed easily. It did take some time to finally figure out what was going on because initially I was having all those symptoms of fatigue and bruising and like I know you would experience
Yeah.
all those symptoms as well. And when I went to my primary care doctor, initially she just kind of brushed it off saying like, "Oh, you're probably just stressed from work," because I had just opened my own business. And yeah, she kind of just brushed off the lower blood levels that were first drawn. The very first time I went and saw her, she was like, "Yeah, you're probably just stressed, and sometimes it's normal for your blood counts to drop down." But to me, I knew that something was wrong because I was someone who had gotten blood draws kind of regularly, just part of my yearly checkups, and I've always had very good levels. I've never had anything drop below a normal range.
Hmm.
And so when I was having those symptoms and then to see those results that were quite a bit lower than my normal, I knew something had to have been off. So I had reached back out to her and I said, "Hey, I know you're thinking everything's fine, but for some reason I'm just having this feeling of there's something off. Like I'd like to see a specialist or someone you recommend that I could look a little bit deeper into what's going on." And so she actually sent me to a cardiologist because I was having like the heart palpitations and a little bit of the fluttery feeling in my chest. And because I do have family history of heart issues, she was like, "Okay, let's send you there and see if your heart is having anything." I go to the heart doctor, and it was one of those things where the doctor was dismissed me for being a woman and that all women have anxiety, which was pretty frustrating. And so I got dismissed there. And I still knew something was wrong, but I was like, well, I've seen two doctors now and everyone's saying I'm fine. Like, what else do I do? I went 8 months of not being seen, no checkups, no follow ups, nothing. And my symptoms just got worse and worse and worse. And so I started having massive bruising all over my body. The fatigue escalated very rapidly with I was doing spin classes and working out, and then I could barely fold laundry. I could barely walk around the house, and I'm like, okay, something is wrong. Like I'm generally like a healthy person. Like I work out and stuff like that. So it was crazy to, be out of breath doing just household chores. And so that's when I was like, okay, I think something's going on because I had massive bruising and petechiae all over my legs. I was starting to get bloody noses regularly, sensitivity in my teeth, the fatigue, and just like not feeling very great. Even at work, I'd be in the middle of like a client, and I'd feel like a lot of chest pressure and dizziness and just like all these symptoms. I'm like, okay, this is not normal. Like I don't know what's going on, but this is not normal. And so I finally went back into my primary and I said, these symptoms did not go away and they've only gotten worse. So I really think we need to recheck everything. Sure enough, we did a blood draw. I heard back that next morning and she gave me a call herself. I was in the middle of work and I get a phone call. And when doctors call, it says healthcare on your phone. And I
Yeah.
was like, this doesn't seem good. And so I asked my client, I was like, usually I don't get a call from my doctor. Is it okay if I answer this real fast? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. So I answered it. And it was my doctor, and she said, so I just got your blood levels back, and you need to go to the emergency room right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, your levels were extremely low. You need a blood transfusion right now. And I'm like my brain like couldn't comprehend what she was saying. I'm like, you just told me like a few months ago I was fine, and I was expecting something, but not that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to the hospital, and hung up, finished my client real fast, and then called my mom and I told her, yeah, my doctor just called. She says I needed to go get a blood transfusion. I don't really know what that means, what that looks like. I've never had one before. I need you to come pick me up because she said it also probably wasn't best that I drive right now. So she came and picked me up and drove me immediately to the hospital, and they were waiting for me. And when I got there, my ER doctor said, okay, like, let's have you come in right away. You need a blood transfusion right now. Did your doctor tell you anything else? And I said, no, she just said I need a blood transfusion and that was it. And he's like, really? Well, as of right now, you're diagnosed with leukemia, and that's what we're going to proceed with. And hearing that, it was just such shock and not knowing, like, okay, this is totally different than I thought. I was thinking something was going to be bad, but I just still didn't like understand, like, oh, this is actually very serious. And then I stayed a whole weekend in the hospital because then that's when they figured out, okay, even though the platelets are low, they're at a 3, and the white blood cells are low, red blood cells were low, everything was just super low on the charts. And that's when they did more testing and realized, okay, this isn't leukemia, but it is something blood related, bone marrow related, and we need to do a bone marrow biopsy to figure out. So they did, I was in the hospital for 3 days, did a bunch of more tests, blood draws pretty much every hour. And yeah, and that's when they were like, okay, we need to do the bone marrow biopsy, had that scheduled, got that done, and that's when they decided that it was finally aplastic anemia and PNH.
How long would you say from knowing something was wrong to actually getting a diagnosis? How long was that?
I predict, because even when I first kind of started thinking I was having symptoms, I believe my symptoms probably were 6 months even before then. So I'd say about a year and a half.
Yeah. You know what? That's so funny. Some of your story is so similar to mine as far as like the heart palpitations. I haven't heard anybody else say that, but I had a similar story as well as that. I was diagnosed sophomore year of college, but I remember my freshman year, I had a nosebleed. I had never had nosebleeds before. And, I wish I would have gotten checked then, of course, but you don't know. But I feel like my journey was longer too. It was like my body was signaling me that there was something wrong, but I never looked really into it. So, yeah, that's so interesting. That's one thing that I feel like is not talked about a lot is just being diagnosed with rare blood disorders, the timing and how long it takes to get a diagnosis and that feeling that you really go through. How old were you when you were first diagnosed?
25.
Okay, so around that time, like you said, you were starting your own business, am I right?
Yep.
What were the feelings around that time of you knowing, okay, I finally got a diagnosis? Like, how did that feel for you?
It was good knowing exactly what it was because I'm someone, I do have my like biology degree, so I went to school and did the whole pre-med track, so I'm really into like research and knowing exactly why things happen the way they do and how, what, all the stuff. And so for me, it was good knowing exactly what it was so I could do all the research and figure out what all are the plans, what kind of procedures are done, what kind of medication is out there. So it was nice to know exactly, but at the same time, I was like, wow, this is very serious. And I was really excited to just, my business was booming and I was already thinking about opening like another shop and just all these things. And so for me, it was also devastating because I had all these plans. I had also just gotten engaged.
Oh,
And so we were, let's see, we were only 1 month engaged and got that diagnosis. And it was like, wow, now we don't know about the wedding. We don't know about my business. We don't know what life is going to look like all the kids even, because that was another thing when it comes to bone marrow transplant. So the whole realm of just life felt so overwhelming and chaos and unknown and fear and all the things. But yeah, so it was pretty scary initially. And the whole time I was like, why God, is this happening to me?
yeah.
But as life goes on, you realize, things happen for a reason and all of that. But yeah, in the moment, it's very traumatic, pretty much.
You've planned it out, and then this happens to you, and everything's up in the air. It's just very unknown if even the next day what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Sounds like you had such a great support system around you too. You talk about your mom, you talk about your husband now.
Hmm.
Tell me about that support system and how that helped you also in your journey.
Yeah, it was really nice, especially because when that had happened, we had just gotten engaged, and my husband was actually willing to, we kind of eloped pretty quickly after that. So that way he could come to Seattle with me and, do the whole family medical leave act and get away from
Oh,
work and stuff. So yeah, we got married technically pretty soon after diagnosis, so that way we could be together in Seattle for the months that needed to be for recovery and things like that. So that was really awesome.
yeah, that is.
And then family, of course, is really, really amazing. And they helped with finances and meals and taking care of my house while I was gone and all the things. So it was nice that family is really close by as well. So all those little details that could be very stressful for a lot of people really helped during that time.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I love that story about your husband. How amazing is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
awesome. I love that. So, talk to us about your treatment plan. So, and me and you both know, but listeners may not know, but there are different treatment options or even cures for aplastic anemia and PNH. And my was different from yours, but what I loved was hearing how you had a different treatment plan than mine and that journey. And that really, for me, it drew me into you and just your story. So tell us a little about your how you decided on your treatment option and how that went.
So, as you know, there's so many different options. And my doctor did go over all of those different options with me. For me, because my platelets were staying at a 3 or lower very consistently, even after a transfusion, they just knew I was very high risk to do a trial and error. And so I didn't get to really experiment a whole ton. They said that I could maybe try to do ATG first and then do a bone marrow transplant if that didn't help. But just because they were really concerned with my platelet level being so low consistently, they didn't know if doing ATG was going to be a good route. My goal was to be healed, like essentially healed and in full remission to where I can just live life normally. So, because of my overall goal, a bone marrow transplant right away was best fitting with what I wanted to do, what I wanted to accomplish. With that route, and I live in Spokane, which doesn't have any bone marrow transplant facilities. The closest one, the only one in Washington, is in Seattle. And so that's where I went to. Is I drove over to Seattle, and they have medical apartments there, so you can stay secluded because you're kind of in your own little bubble. You have no immune system, you can't really be around other people, anything like that. So you're in your own little apartment. I had my bone marrow transplant, which included, for me, it was chemo, radiation. I did have 2 days of rabbit, and then did the bone marrow transplant, and then a couple days even after transplant, you get small doses of chemo. And so that was my full regimen of my treatment. And then for 100 days, you have to stay isolated right next to your facility. So that way, every day you go in and get your blood work checked and completely monitored.
You got chemo and ATG.
Yes.
Yeah, and so for me, my treatment option, because I've had it twice now, but I did ATG. The first time I think it was horse, then the second time I did rabbit. So yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know you got a dose of ATG in there as well.
Yeah, and it totally depends. There's so many different small adjustments with that regimen depending on your donor match
Hmm.
and like the percent of the match. So with mine, the reason why I had to do including radiation, because that's also not super common, is because I had a 50% match because it was my dad. So if you have a 100% match, if it's like a sibling that it's a 100% match, more than likely you'd only need chemo, possibly still ATG, but only chemo and then just your transplant.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what got you through those 100 days, when you're secluded pretty much. It's just you by yourself. What got you through that? Because I always say you go through a diagnosis or a health journey mentally, physically, and emotionally. And that mental aspect can be hard at times. So what did you do for your mental health?
Yeah, mental health is huge when it comes to that because yeah, you're just stuck in walls all day, every day. And you don't feel good either. That's the biggest thing is you want to go do all these things, but also physically you don't feel good because you're having nausea and fatigue and your body's so weak and frail feeling. And so I've always recommended to anybody going through a bone marrow transplant is try to get your body moving as soon as possible because not only does it just help flush everything out, you just get like a boost of your hormones are kind of wacky too. You get a boost of energy just going for a small walk, even if it's just like a little walk around the block or just a few steps out the front door, like getting some sunshine and just fresh air is so good for you. And so that was my goal every single day, even if it was just like a few steps or like a mile, 2 miles. I would shoot for going on a walk every single day in Seattle. And sometimes I reward myself with like a little treat. I go get a coffee or like a bagel or something like that too. But I made sure to always just get out and about, get outside, so that way I can see at least see people. Even though I'm not interacting with them, I can see that, oh, cars are driving by, there's other people around, there's dogs walking by, just something to kind of give you that positive outlook that life is still going on, even though it doesn't feel like it, but you can still just enjoy being outside and then yeah, when I was inside not feeling well, I would try reading, watching my favorite movies, doing little exercises inside, but just trying to do something to keep your mind off of. You just never want to just lay on the couch and let your thoughts roll
Mm-hmm.
because that's what
Yeah.
can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So always just doing something that you enjoy, something that's fun, to just keep you positive.
Yeah, no, those are really great tips too for anybody going through any medical illness or know someone that's going through it, ways to help them also. That's really good. And how was that experience for your dad being the one that said yes to wanting to be your bone marrow donor?
Yeah, he absolutely loved it. He saw it as like being a big superhero to his
Oh.
daughter, and he absolutely loved being my donor. And it was actually really funny and not at the same time. But my brother, he was initially supposed to be my donor. He was 100% match. He's only 3 years younger than me, so healthy kid. But when he went in to do his blood work for all the checks, this random thing in his blood work came back as like a red flag. He just had this weird thing. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like a mutation in his, I honestly don't remember, but where they were concerned it wasn't anything necessarily dangerous for him. It was just something that could cause rejection for me. And
Yeah.
so they ended up ruling him out, which was so like he was devastated. We were all devastated because it's like, oh, he was 100% match. Like that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
And so that was a bummer. And then a bunch of my family, just because all of my cousins, aunt and uncles, everybody's really close in our family. You can do, the mouth swab and send it
Hmm.
in to be the match. I did have my aunt and cousins, they sent their own sample in just to see, like, who knows, what if we're a little bit of a match? Well, my cousin, who's only a couple weeks older than me, ended up being a 50% match, which is so rare for a cousin to be a
Yeah.
match. Um, he ended up coming in and ended up having some health complications as well. And so he got ruled out. So then we were just like, what's happening? Like, am I going to even have a donor? And so that's when they started questioning, like, maybe we should open up like the worldwide match and just kind of, see. But then they were like, let's, like, are both your parents alive? Like, how old are they? And I was like, yeah, both my parents are alive. They're fairly young. They are really healthy. And they're like, okay, let's test your dad then. Let's see how his stuff checks out. And they're like, as long as he's actually your dad, he would be 50% matched biologically.
Yeah.
We had him get tested, and sure enough, 50% match. Everything checked out really healthy, and he's like, "Yep, let's do it right away. I'm down to do it." So, and ended up working out with him.
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's so cool to have a close family too to be able to be there and help and want to jump in and help. I'll get swabbed and see if I'm a match. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about life after transplant. Okay, so you've gotten the transplant now. What happens after you've gotten the transplant?
It's a lot of just rest and recovery. life kind of looks different than you expect because you're finally able to come back home. So whether you're close to a facility or you had to travel, you get to go back home. So for me, it was packing up all my stuff, driving all the way back to Spokane, getting settled in my house, getting to see my dogs again. That was another thing too, that if you're an animal lover, you can't be around like your dogs, your pets, or anything. And so that was so hard for me. Like my dogs are my babies. I got to be reunited with them and come back home. It was a lot different. I thought, I just like start feeling better and all the things, but it does take like a full year to feel more like yourself because you're questioning possible GVHD complications that can come up, which to me, that's like my biggest fear. And I don't know why I have such a fear of GVHD because I know it's not the end of the world, but I'm trying to do everything possible to avoid having GVHD pop up in my body. So that's kind of something that's always in the back of your mind. You're monitoring your skin, your symptoms, your mouth. Mouth GVHD is very common. You want to just make sure you're not having issues with your transplant and you're constantly getting followed up by your doctor in your town. When you first come back, it's still weekly. Every week you go in, get your blood draws, get your counts checked. I think it was after 6 months, then you get to back down to like every other week. And then once you hit your 1 year, then it's like every month. So it slowly goes down and down how often you have to go in, but you're still just seeing your doctor very frequently. You're getting things checked, and anything that comes up, you need to notify your team and all the things. For me, I did get a little bit of possible GVHD in my stomach, which is actually really, really common post-transplant within that first year. It makes you like nauseous and your stomach hurts and things like that. And they treat that with a steroid. And usually it goes away pretty rapidly, and as long as you taper off your prednisone, usually it doesn't come back, and luckily for me, I haven't had any issues since. But yeah, it's just monitoring possible GVHD and then getting your body back up to normal stamina and feeling good, eating good, all the things. So it's just like a really slow process of you're not really back to work yet. You're trying to get your body moving, get yourself back into a normal schedule. It's just kind of like a whirlwind that first year back at home. But then, yeah, once you hit that 1 year mark, you get to go back and have your checkup, see how you're doing, and then they clear you for a bunch of things that you can start doing again, of certain medications you can go off of. Once I was off of medication, that's when I knew, like, wow, my body started feeling so much better. Just not having to be on any of that, and I was able to go out in the sun a little bit more, and enjoy like being more active and working out and things like that. And so yeah, that first year is rough, but once you get past that, then it starts coming back.
Yeah, that's good. What is something that you really missed? I know you said your dogs, but what's something you really missed in that 1 year? You find gratitude in things when you don't have it. So was there anything that you definitely had gratitude for that you were able to get back?
Just like being physical, like I love working out. And so for me, like not being able to go to spin classes or go to the gym or just being around people as often, like you have to still be cautious because you're immune compromised for a very long time. Being around people, going to the grocery store during a busy hour and just like all the things. So just being like active and social, like you take that so much for granted when you like run to the store real fast and you grab your things and just run back home. And it's like I wasn't able to do that because there's just such a risk of getting sick when you're just so immune compromised. And so yeah, it was so much fun being able to be around people and go to parties and weddings and all the things again. So yeah, just being active, honestly.
When you went out, did you have to wear masks, gloves?
First 6 months, I'd say anytime I go to the grocery store, I'd for sure wear a mask. And I just like wouldn't really touch anything. I usually would go with my mom or my husband, and they would like grab the things for me. But because I still wanted to go, like you still want to be a part of the stuff. So even
Yes.
though they say like, oh, I'll just go for you. Like, no, I still want to go and feel like I'm doing something. But yeah, so I just wear my mask, stay really clean, wash my hands after everything. So just being cautious of, germs and things like that. But yeah, mask was the big thing.
And jumping into motherhood, now that you're a mom,
Yeah.
tell us about that process of you becoming a mother after having a bone marrow transplant.
When I was diagnosed, they had told me that freezing my eggs wasn't going to be much of an option just because of the high risk of timeline. I really had just prayed about it and thought, like if everything is meant to be for me to become a mom, like it's going to work out that way. After having a transplant, they recommended waiting a full year post transplant, and as long as you're off of all your medications as well, then that's when you can try. So I made sure my body was feeling really good after the year, and I was off of all medication. And I also didn't get my period back until January of, would have that been last year? And so yeah, it does take a while for your body to like even normalize. So even though I wasn't even like on any birth control, anything like that, it took quite a few months for my body to actually like give me back a period and give me my cycle back and things like that. And so January it returned. February was my 1 year follow up with my doctors, and they're like, wow, you're doing so good. Like you can get off all your medication.
The
If
best
you're
news
ready,
ever.
yeah, best news ever. If you want to try, like, you're more than welcome to. They felt like my body was doing pretty well. My blood levels were good. And then, sure enough, I was pregnant in March.
Oh my gosh.
hmm And it
Surprise.
was funny too because it wasn't even like we didn't really even like discuss it much of like, okay, like, yeah, let's make this like an actual plan. It was more of just like, okay, let's see. We don't even know if like I'm gonna be able to.
Yeah.
We didn't know what that was gonna look like. And so the fact that it happened like immediately was so funny. And we were like, I can't believe this is
I
happening.
know. Wow, that's so cool. And last time I know we talked, you also said that your doctor has read studies on people that have gotten bone marrow transplants when they were younger were able to actually have kids. Am I right?
Yeah, that was the fertility specialist in Seattle.
Okay.
So it was actually funny. My one of my bone marrow doctors actually was very contradicting in that, where she was saying um, kind of harsh words, honestly. She said, you're gonna regret not freezing your eggs when you can't have kids, and like things like that, where I was just like, that's pretty bold to, pretty harsh words.
Mm-hmm.
And just being, some doctors would just like, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to have kids and things like that. But then that fertility specialist, she was like, no, I have seen like younger women that go through all of this. Like I've seen really good success with them being able to have their own children like on their own. And so I took her word for it. I was like, okay, she's the specialist in that area. I'm going to go with what she says. And so, sure enough, she was right.
So now being a mom, tell me about those emotions, like when you found out that you were now with child and
hmm
how that journey was.
Yeah, it was so overwhelming and so exciting that day that I thought I was pregnant. I was literally only 1 day late, and I was like, I just feel like something is up. I didn't really have any other symptoms or anything. It
Yeah.
was just like an internal, I think I am. Like it was just in my mind. Ran to the store, got two little like dollar store tests, and came home, did it by myself because I was like, I don't want to like tell my husband that I think I am and then not be, and just like cause that stress,
Yeah.
or that worry. So I just did it myself, and sure enough, I looked at it and I could not believe, like it was literally like I could not believe it. I was staring at it for like a good few minutes, and I was like, "Is this real? Like I have to do it again." And so I did another test, and sure enough, it was still positive. And I was like, "I cannot believe!" And just started crying and just so excited. And I was like, "Okay, I have to tell him right away." And so I went back to the store, got one of the ones that like literally says pregnant on it, and then got like a couple of cute outfits and made him like open this box, like announcing like I'm pregnant, and he was so excited as well. And it was such a big like fun day. And we're like, okay, we got to keep it a secret for a few days, but I like could not wait to tell everybody.
I bet by that time everybody had heard about your health journey. So now to
Yeah.
be on this side of it and to bring a child into this world has to be awesome too. So what's your baby's name and how old is your baby?
His name is Monty Blue, and he just turned 5 months.
Oh, that's so sweet. What about
Yes.
motherhood excites you about the future?
Ugh, all the things. Honestly, it's so fun just like seeing him grow. Like every day, he's learning something new and developing like another skill. And it's just so fun seeing how fast they, like, it's sad and fun. Like,
Yeah.
I miss, like, he used to be so tiny and now he's already getting so big, but it's also so fun at the same time. Like, he's growing into such a big boy, and like so soon he's going to be 6 months, he's going to be half a year, and he's going to be learning how to walk and then run and like all the sports and all the events and like all the things that just comes with it. I'm excited for every step.
And your dad, he donated to you, and now he's
My grandpa.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
How was that for him once you told him that you were pregnant?
Yeah, he was super excited as well. And for both of our sides, so my family and my husband's family, Monty is the first grandson. And
Oh,
so he's, of course, so spoiled, and everybody just absolutely loves him. So it's really exciting for
yeah.
both families. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful story too of, you persevered through something that you never probably thought you would ever go through in life,
Hmm.
and now you're on the other side of it, and now you're able to now parent somebody else. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
The listeners, I always like to leave them with something from each episode just to take with them. What advice or what piece of information would you leave them with?
Knowing that whether you believe in God or a higher power or whatever you believe in, just know like God is out there and He is watching over you, and that you can persevere through so much. That you're not alone. So even if you are going through something and you don't have family nearby, you're not married, you don't have children, and you feel alone, just know that you're not alone and that you can still do so much perseverance through the hardships and the struggles, because things happen for a reason. And I know that it wasn't for nothing that I went through all of that, because I have gained so much when it comes to my mindset and who I am as a person now. I have grown, and none of that would have happened without going through that treatment. And so it was for a reason, and I know God has a path for me, and that I just need to trust that everything's going to work out the way that He wants it to.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. I think this is going to be
Yeah.
a really cool episode that'll speak to a lot of people.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank